Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all well. It's been an interesting couple of days with the attempted assassination of Trump while he was speaking. And even though he got off lightly with the shot just clipping his ear, it has raised many questions because footage is appearing showing that some of the security guards, forces, should have seen this guy on the roof and ignored it. Why was that? This was just a 20-year-old young man. I don't know anything about him. All I know is that when Trump was campaigning, when he actually won back in 2016, this young man at the time would have been 12 years old. And for those of you who remember, before, during, and after his campaign, the media were toxic to say the least and have always been toxic. You only need to see some of the videos on social media, again by youngsters between 18 and 25, um, furious, upset, in tears, kicking and screaming. Why did he miss? It would have solved the problem. Imagine somebody who's standing up to campaign to do what they believe is best for their country, uh, actually being portrayed in such a negative manner that young people would celebrate the possibility that he could be assassinated. Or even over here, I have heard Trump's name mentioned very negatively, not just in mainstream media, in news articles, in newspapers, or on the news, but I've even heard Trump mentioned in mainstream TV programs, always in a negative manner. The BBC being one of the worst for that. And in one series, can't remember which one it was, he was actually mentioned as the worst lying cheat, etc., etc., etc. And Biden and his son and his predecessor and Clinton and so on are so much better. Ultimately, doesn't matter what people think about him. What does matter is that mainstream media um, is, without a shadow of a doubt, overstepping the mark, and they are having undue influence on people, which is affecting our political system negatively. They may believe that what they are doing is in the best interest of themselves and whoever they represent, but as for society as a whole, what they are doing is actually catastrophic, because throughout elections over there and over here, the the issues are lost because it is all about throwing mud, and it is all about scoring points, and it is all about the media attacking the candidate or candidates who they do not want and pandering to the ones who they do. If you've seen how the media are pandering to Keir Starmer now, they never spoke to other previous prime ministers, be it Sunak, be it Boris, in the same manner. It is almost as though they look at Keir Starmer through rose tinted spectacles, even though just in their first week, many of their decisions could and will have catastrophic consequences on our economy and our way of life. Indeed, just the other day, a decision made by Ed Miliband to literally withdraw all the drilling licenses in the North Sea could result in massive lawsuits from the oil companies who have contracts to prepare tenders and prepare projects, and prepare timeframes and everything that they needed to. They have invested millions and millions of pounds, and it more than likely they will pursue for their losses, and that could cost this country a lot of money. I don't know the exact figure. On top of that, there is the cost to us, the people, of us not using what is under our own seabed or beneath our feet on land, and we will just be paying a much higher price to import it from elsewhere. Because unless we stop living, we stop running businesses, we stop doing anything, then we will continue to need oil and gas. I don't know what their plans are or where they think they are going with this. So the media, in its in its wisdom or arrogance, has gone out of its way to cause so much harm to other candidates, to make them hated as they have done with Trump. How much hate must they have generated for a young man just 20 years old to get up on a roof, and effectively it was a death sentence for him? Why he was shot dead, could he have just been wounded? I don't know. That's for people who had a first eye view, who were there in person. But to me, once again, it raises questions that this young lad who attempted to shoot him, and were it not for Trump moving his head, then this could have been a completely different situation. And this is very, very worrying that it has reached this degree. We have seen just in the last few weeks in the election campaign here that the media were all about throwing mud and no actual genuine debate about anything, just token gestures. Even on TV debates, the very setup with all of these people, we've had debates with as many as 7 candidates and 3 or 4 questions. That is not a debate. It is simply a charade, because the candidates are going to make 1 or 2 responses to each question, and that's it. Apart from, of course, Angela Rayner and Penny Mordaunt, who took it upon themselves to just begin squabbling like schoolgirls in a playground. But apart from that, there was no debate. And who loses? It is the public who lose in the end, because many of the major issues, I have to say, that the public do not or have not had the opportunity to really hear proper debate, so that they can make their own mind up outside of what they may read in the papers or read online. Is that the objective? To prevent healthy, unbiased, unrestricted debate face to face, so that the media can present what they want you to see. At the same time, from the media, we also see a lot of underhand, bordering on disgraceful behavior in order to smear candidates. Because once they have thrown something out there, then the damage is done. Even if they are forced to redact what they have said, a few lines somewhere else won't have any benefit whatsoever. And even if they are then forced to give their redaction equal prominence, it will still be missed just by the way that it would be presented. How easy is it to make somebody look really bad on in the media? How easy is it to just throw mud, create mud to throw at a candidate? It's probably much, much easier than you are actually aware. Here's an example for you. Well, here we are in X, formerly Twitter, and we are on Keir Starmer's page. Let's see if we can put words into his mouth, bless him. So if I scroll down, this will do, this one here. So all I need to do is inspect. Then I just simply go over to inspect, and here all I have to do is find the text, double click it, and then I can begin editing. And as soon as I press enter, there you go, the text has appeared here. I am becoming increasingly frustrated with Angela Rayner because I am smart enough to lie, but she is stupid enough to tell the truth. It's on his profile, it's on his page. All I need to do now is press Windows, print screen, and there you go. I have a screenshot of Mr. Starmer saying something terrible. I could have written anything. I could have even gone back through his old posts and edited an old one, screenshot it, get it out there. Then when he denies it, we will just accuse him of deleting it. There's no way that he can prove his innocence, and the screenshots will be out there. And even if the media then delete their article, retract it, even put a retraction in small print somewhere, nobody will notice it because they would have unleashed it on social media, and other people will then share it and reshare it. You couldn't even prove that this was fake directly from X, because in order to get something along those lines directly from X, it would have to be an international high court order, something along the lines of national security and such like. You are not going to get X to delve into their servers for historical tweets based on somebody said something, otherwise they wouldn't be doing anything else whatsoever. So how much do you trust screenshots of what may have been said when they are posted by the media or on social media or on any other platform? I think that says it all. That could be done in 2 minutes. Anybody on X can be set up very, very easily. It takes 2 minutes to modify one of their tweets to say anything you want. You can screenshot it, get it out there, and then you try convincing an already cynical public that that tweet wasn't there, and the accused person didn't delete it, because there's nothing that person can do to prove that it was not there. This is the point that we have reached, and this is why we may need to rethink what the media is allowed to repeat from, say, social media, because the same principle can apply to other platforms as well. Because for anything, whether it's a post on X, whether it's a post on Instagram, Facebook, or anywhere else, to appear on your screen, that post is sending code, and anybody who knows what to do can go into the code, can just edit it. It's not permanent, it's not being edited on the server, it's being edited on the screen of the viewer. But once that is captured in a screenshot and then passed on, nobody is any the wiser. Nobody could ever be any the wiser, ever. And as I said, the only way that this could be disproved would be if X would literally look through their servers, and that's assuming that they can actually go back to that particular tweet, which they should be able to, but not always. But they would not do that for everyday instances like this. It would have to be a matter of national security, simply because of the logistics of it. Because if it were not, and if it were for anything that's just libelous, you can imagine they would be they would have to assign thousands and thousands of hours per year, people just looking for tweets that have been deleted or allegedly deleted, and that just won't happen. So once the media or anybody has got something like that out there, then effectively there's nothing that the victim can do apart from deny it. But we know how cynical the public is. People will think, well, is it true? Is it not? Is it true? And then what happens if people who are on opposing sides, or people who don't like you, or people who have any issue with you whatsoever, they just simply begin to share it and reshare it, and it is out there forever, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. This is just one element of how the media can create a frenzy of hate for a candidate, for a party, for a group of candidates, for politicians, be they MPs, be they lords, be they civil servants. And this is destroying our democratic system, and it is very, very dangerous. And I do feel that something must be done about this, because if we're reaching the point that young people's minds are being filled with such hate, such contempt for people who are standing up to for what they believe in, to whether it's right or wrong, whether we agree or disagree, we do need different opinions. We do need healthy debate, healthy disagreement. We would never get anywhere if everyone in the Houses of Parliament were to agree. But they should be able to express their differing opinions without the media as a whole picking on a side and actually making them the target of attacks, of hate, of bias, um, and of any other influence whatsoever. And if anybody thinks that the media has not played a massive role in this last election, then I'm afraid that you are wrong. It is the media who have had such a massive influence, because no matter which party is in power, there's always going to be people who are not perfect. That's just how it is. It would not be possible. And if the media were to focus on policies as a whole, rather than occupy themselves with individuals or creating targets, then perhaps the voting public would have the benefit of being able to make a much more informed decision. And in the end, that would be better for everyone. And on that note, I really, really feel that the events in the USA a couple of days ago um, are terrifying, because ultimately, if there is anything more than just a youngster who has literally been swayed by the media or by influence, then that obviously raises sinister alarm bells, and it would be catastrophic for democracy if Donald Trump were to be assassinated. I feel that Biden should be replaced as soon as possible with somebody who's competent to debate. And I do feel that the leaders should be debating issues, as it is going to be only them, way in advance, and they should have properly monitored debates so that it doesn't turn into just a shouting match, so that the public can decide based on what they conclude by themselves rather than the media. But once again, perhaps this is what the media wants, because by creating so much fog, it's not fog, it's smog, because it's filthy fog. By creating so much smog, people cannot see clearly, and they are then at the mercy of being influenced, or there is more chance that they will be influenced by the media rather than drawing their own conclusions. It's not about one side or the other, it is about democracy. And democracy can only happen if all sides can speak, and if they are on a level playing field. But if the media is actively looking to smear candidates candidates on one side, or if they are so openly biased as they now have become in recent years, then that is not good for the country as a whole. So their influence is not constructive in any way, shape, or form. They are not judge and jury on who should be in power. They should only relay information and their opinion. But they have taken it too far, and it is damaging, and it is not good for democracy, be it on this side of the Atlantic, or the other, or anywhere else in the world for that matter. Because once people are pushed too far, and once they are whipped up in a frenzy to such a degree, then eventually it will erupt, and it will erupt in a manner that is not good for anyone. That is a threat. That is a threat to social unrest, and it is damaging to the political system as a whole. And our political system, democracy in its purest form, is the most important structure to a society. And our democracy, I'm sorry to say, is falling apart. And anywhere where democracy is overlooked, or it is bypassed, then the result is catastrophic. And I, for one, am someone who fully supports democratically reached decisions. But where people decide to ignore democracy and turn and become an autocracy, then I don't want to know, because that is the thin end of the wedge. That is damaging, and that is the mindset that has caused so much trouble over the centuries throughout Europe, and indeed throughout the world. That's all for now. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you next time.